Alright, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Willow leaf cutting. It's actually when I took this cutting about 2 years ago. When I took it and several like smaller cuttings. For some reason, none of my smaller ones made it. This was actually the big chop off of my big willow leaf. I'm going to make a playlist for the willow leaf, so it'll only have this cutting and then that other tree in there. And the biggest scar on that other tree is this cutting. I was kind of really surprised that it did take. Kind of sat there and did almost nothing for a while. And then right when the rainy season hit last year, I wound up kind of doing, I actually called the video an emergency repot. I'll put that link in the description or whatever. But right when the first couple thunderstorms we had coming through, I was kind of out there looking around and I noticed that there was just a big gunky spot with it. I think that was kind of attached to this little flat spot there. I kind of pulled it up out of the pot, took all the gunk out of there and freshened up the soil. A couple months ago, or maybe not even a couple months, maybe like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I took and just like cut this back, and I figured I'd go ahead and repot it once it had some growth again. That means it's putting out plenty of roots and everything. So it seems like now's the time. I really don't have anything specifically in mind for what kind of a style this is going to wind up being or anything, just because I did have this resting on top of another pot that just had a tree that was a bit too small in there. That did enable me to kind of pull it up. And if you notice when it's topsoil, if it was topsoil, you pull it up out of there and all of that would cling to the roots. But when it's in bonsai substrate, you pull it up out of there and it all just kind of falls off. You can see the healthy roots coming off the bottom here. So today I'm going to try to work the roots a bit, try to get it to develop a nabari. At one point, well, when I first put this cutting in there, I actually planted it low enough so that it would just hold steady. That was actually the whole idea of a pot that small and why I had it so deep in there to begin with. And then at one point I was thinking I'd let it get like super root bound in there to let it really swell up. But then if I did that long enough, I've kind of seen these things kind of go like that long enough to where I'd have just a big stump, like this. It'd wind up with just a bunch of curling roots in there. So I'm going to try to get the roots spread out some and just see if I can make something of it one day. So there's what we've got. Really a wild looking side there. That's dead wood there. Well, there a bunch of it's breaking off. I was going to say, I have seen and heard some people use dead wood and ficus, but eventually it really doesn't hold unless you really do get some treatment on there or whatever. I've never had that treated or anything. So I have to keep that in mind, that that's there's no bark there. I may even, it's pretty unique. It looks a little more like an alien seed pod or something than it does a tree stump. But I'll get it in a training prop, probably put it off to one side and have the nabari coming off that way. Or actually, maybe I might be able to spread that one root out and get it over there both ways. I do have wire ready to tire this guy in because I'm going to try to get this root to come off this way. And that'll provide it with a root coming off both ways there. And then a couple other things I'm going to try to do. If you guys can see here, there's this root that's kind of crossing over. And I'm going to try to either bend it around and try to get it to come out this way or just cut that one all the way off. And on the way it comes out of the top of that other root like that, I'm gonna go ahead and take it all the way off. And it's so strange the way it kind of came out here, in that you can just see there's just the one straight branch that has a little coming off of it there. The 3 good roots, and then this big knot, which, you know, in one way, you know, on the surface, you might think this is going to help provide some taper for it. But a big part of that knob is dead. See a little bit of live wood there, so I won't cut back any further. And then right here, this is just where I was able to break it back to this point with my fingers. And that is, I have almost no other way to describe it other than that. It's kind of live-ish. Got a little hollow there. Let's see if I can't just pluck some of that dead out of there. Once I get this repotted, don't really want to do a whole lot to it for a while. So I don't want to go back. And do much moving around and working with it until I see it established itself into this training pot pretty well. I think that'll work. So again, gonna be a strange looking tree. You do see a lot of these older, more mature ones that have, you know, roots twisting and twisting and twisting, and since I've got this opportunity to work it, I'll try to counteract that. And these are just a little bit too wide for the training pot. Let's see. All right, a couple dead branches here. Thinking I see some people almost every time they do anything with a ficus, they completely defoliate. And then I have heard other people, you know, theorize about how the leaves are actually what makes the root grow. And so sometimes I try to get a little bit of a young leaf growth on there. Get it in its new pot and let it kind of grow out some. But I did take a couple branches off there just to kind of reduce some of the stress I could just kind of tell that that's going to be a stressful move for it. Might even cut the apex just down. A little bit there just to kind of, again, reduce the stress a bit. And I'll get it watered and in the shade, and we'll see what happens.